One winner in the recent market we've seen this year is Dell. Dell has evolved from a PC maker to services, storage, servers, cloud infrastructure, and security. And also now Dell might be your best partner for those companies who want to take the first steps to implement generative AI. This is Victoria Liu. Here with me, joining me now is MaySoo, Dell Technologies Data Science Director for Asia Pacific. Good to see you.
Hi Victoria. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, glad to introduce Mei because Mei is quite an important role in Dell. And Mei is a highly accomplished Chief AI Officer with over 2 decades of experience in data science and AI. So it's amazing because you look quite so young.
Thank you.
And also Mei is named as the top 10 CAIO. What an accomplishment. Yeah, it's really impressive. Yeah, so for the first question I would love to talk about this year is for 2024. People are talking about the big waves, especially about AI and the data, and people are knowing these words very frequently, but actually they want to know more about the generative AI, GenAI. And people are not familiar with the word generative. Perhaps they have the false assumption of it, but actually people are wondering what's the story behind it and what's your point of this kind of transition?
I think generative AI today has been mixed up a lot with AI and machine learning and basic predictive analytics. It's not a bad thing. I think it's great that it's generating a lot of excitement and a lot of possibilities that people can see what the power of technology can do. Now, that being said, I think we've got to balance a little bit with reality. What is AI capable of? What is the technology capable of? As well as what we're imagining. Perhaps we're imagining like a Terminator scenario where we have this artificial general intelligence that's going to take over the world. But today, we're not there yet. We're taking one step at a time, which is AI today is capable of one thing that they can do very, very well, right? We can call it the one-trick pony. If they can play chess, they can play chess very well. If it does weather prediction, it can do weather prediction very well. But you can't have an AI today that does these two things in a single model very, very well. And so we've got to balance that perspective and our perception of AI. It is great, it is a powerful technology, but it's not something that can take over the world right now. We've got to treat it like a tool, a very powerful tool. So with AI, machine learning, generative AI, they're all tools for human beings to get better, to be more efficient in doing our daily tasks and doing things that we don't want to do, repetitive tasks especially. So use that tool well and we can be better and faster, but it won't take over the human beings.
So it's kind of safe and it's a very functional tool that you use every day. But actually for most people, they will like wondering, is it overhyped these days? Because they see a lot of the reporting, but actually don't know how to work with it.
Yes, because of the imagination that we have, right? And we're thinking, we see a lot of concepts, a lot of prototypes that have come up of the possibilities that this technology can empower. But when it comes to implementation, it is not that simple. The data piece especially, people may think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to buy something off the shelf and then I'm going to implement it and it will solve all my problems. But actually, remember, it's just a tool and you need the data, you need to fix that part, and then you bring the tool in to empower this data to make it useful for you. So this part here on the data still needs to be fixed before you bring that in. So that's why not a little bit overhyped, it's just that the excitement is way beyond what's possible with them today because they're probably running 10 steps ahead when we should be ahead, stepping back and strategize, plan it properly, and look at what you actually need.
Okay, so people want to active the data and bring AI to where data is. And actually they were wondering, how do you view the future applications for AI?
It's very, very promising. I think we've already seen the power of these chat capabilities and the power of generating images and videos, we've seen the disruption that it has caused, right, to perhaps the movie making industry, when we have script writing abilities that can be generated very, very quickly. We have the ability to generate videos that are lifelike, that may complement the movie making. So perhaps not the main actors and actresses, right? But the side and the extra views that you put into a movie, those can actually be generated very, very quickly. So the disruption is already happening, and I see a lot more coming, not just in the media industry, but also in other industries, in whether it's IT, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's finance. These will be empowered by AI, and some of the processes may have to change as well to not really to accommodate, but to have AI embedded in the process and make things even faster and more efficient.
So in different businesses, they have the different needs. So how do you see these challenges and issues for different businesses?
So different businesses will have different needs, right? If you think about manufacturing, perhaps the most prominent need that they have is to control the defects that they have, to control that process so that you minimize the defects and everything that you produce is kind of 100%. Now, defect detection has been used in the past with machine learning, with computer vision, but now with generative AI, I think the imagination is that, hey, you know what? It can do much more than what we could do before at a much faster rate. So in fact, there was this chemical plant that has a very interesting idea of combining computer vision, machine learning, and drones to inspect their chemical plant. So that chemical plant is actually out in the open. So it's exposed to rain, to shine, to wind, snow. And there are certain parts of the chemical plant that are not captured within the view of cameras that they have installed in the plants. So they're taking drones to fly everywhere to capture those videos. And what are they capturing? They're actually capturing the vibrations of the pipes, vibrations of the machines, and then combining that with computer vision and of course the models behind that, right? To really assess, hey, when do I need to maintain this machine? Is there something going on there that I'm not aware of, that the sensors are not picking up? And these in combination of human inspections can be very, very powerful, as well as increase the safety of the inspectors, because they don't really have to go to those dangerous areas in the chemical plant, but they can just view it from the drones, and then the machines and technology will actually help them to assess, right, and give a prior assessment. Okay, you need to take a look at section A 1.2, rather than they go around the chemical plant and inspect every single section. It's just highlighting for them, hey, you know what, take a look at this, and then the reasons will be stated out. Because vibration has exceeded the safety boundaries, because the heat is exceeding, then the inspector will be able to assess and agree, yes, I need to go and inspect and make sure that things are safe.
Thank you, May. That's quite a good example. And we know Dell help people to tailor their needs, and also we talk about their pain points, challenges, and also small business, they want to save labor costs, etc. And they have many, many questions or problems. They want your help. So in different fields, especially for the finance sector, do you have any examples to share with us?
Yes, in fact, something very interesting. So we know chatbots, right? And chatbots are, you go in there, hello, how can I help you? But now we are going to create super agents for banks. What's this super agent? Although it is not an agent that is customer facing right now, it is going to empower relationship managers. So let's imagine a relationship manager going to a customer. Now you're expecting that this relationship manager knows everything about the customer. But does this relationship manager know everything about the products, the recommendations? Do they know everything about what's going on in the market? So they may have to do a little bit of search and a lot of homework behind this. Now with this super agent, so imagine that you have an agent behind you, and you're the RM, the relationship manager, that whenever you're looking for information, it is right there on your device, because this super agent that we're creating actually has a lot of knowledge on all these products, as well as the customer, and how do we match these products with the customer. So we're talking about investment products. It could be their investment portfolio, it could be their interest in mortgage, it could be their interest in savings account, and perhaps market trends. What's going on in the market? What's going on in Taiwan? What's going on in the US that will impact Taiwan? And what's going on in Southeast Asia that I may have opportunities to increase my portfolio and generate more wealth? So that kind of knowledge is very difficult for a single person to really absorb, right? But that's where the power of generative AI is. It is able to take all this information, put it into a single agent, and that single agent can create a relationship manager that is super knowledgeable, as well as helping the relationship manager maintain that good relationship and provide very good knowledge and recommendation to their customers. So that's how we are arming these armies of relationship managers to have all this knowledge in the world and put it into a device that's so simple for them and so easy for them, right? They don't have to do a search where a list of links will come out. That's not what we want. We want to do a search where we ask a question and then the exact answers will appear. That's what we're looking for. And that's what these super agents are going to enable our relationship managers and banks to have all this information in their hands and empower them when they have conversations with their customers.
Okay, so human power is limited, but before they step into implement generative AI, they have something to consider. So how can a company determine if it is suitable to implement generative AI, especially for the examples that you give?
Yes, so first of all, I think they need to understand what AI can do for them. And they need to know what kind of problems that they're having that AI can solve. So sometimes it is not really AI. Sometimes a simple predictive analytics model can do it. Sometimes it's just a matter of putting hardware, like sensors, putting cameras, or sometimes it's just analyzing data, but not really AI. So they have to know what AI can do and if they really need it. So I think a lot of companies are jumping into generative AI. It's like, hey, I need this, but do they really need that? We don't know. If it solves a problem for their business, then very good. But what does that mean? It also means that it's got to bring ROI, return on investment. It's not just the problem that they solve, but what is the value that it's creating out of solving that problem? Because an organization may have 10,000 problems, right? And not all 10,000 problems have high value when it's solved. But if you are able to identify the problems that can actually bring a lot of value, that's the jackpot. That's something you should go after. And then you evaluate, do you have what it takes? Which is, do you have the data? Like I said, AI is nothing without data. And if you have the data, is it good enough to use? And if not, is there something that you can do to fix it? So that's a lot of considerations that you need to go after. And then if you have the data, yes, very good. And you understand AI, very good. Then do you have a platform? Do you have a place to actually develop your AI, to run, deploy your AI, to implement it? Are you able to integrate it back to your existing systems, like manufacturing, like banking? They have existing systems that your AI will have to integrate back to. Can you do that? So all these considerations will also have to be taken if you are thinking of investing in AI, getting that deployed in your organization. Of course, the use case, right, that's your problem. That is going to be the most important highlight because, again, that's where your return on investment should come. Think of your use case, and then whether you have the data, the people, the platform, and then you will have the best value to come out of that use case when you successfully solve that problem.
Okay, that's a very good suggestion and advice for those companies who want to implement or deploy the generative AI. But for those companies, they face the shortage of manpower. So actually, it's universal.
Yes.
So for the AI talent, so what do you think the real AI talent that we need, or what are they capable to do in the future?
There is a serious shortage of talent, I admit. I think there's several things that we can do. Of course, you can buy software off the shelf.
Oh, okay.
Right? Just take it and implement it for something very simple, like a chatbot software if you want to implement that. And a software that can help you manage your data, and then you marry that with the software that runs your chatbot. So that's the software side. Kind of easy, but your return on investment is also a little bit limited. Then there is the more long-term way, which is you need to train and skill people up. Now, a lot of the bigger organizations are taking that step, investing in training their employees, in training the next generation of leaders, and empowering them with the knowledge of AI, as well as the skills required to run AI. How does this happen, right? This is internal trainings, sending them for courses in university, and having experts come in to train them, and then giving them opportunities to get their hands onto projects, right, that are perhaps on the lower risks side, so that you don't put them on the major projects at the start, so that they have a feel of what it's like to be involved in AI, to actually do something in AI and machine learning. That's one of the bigger companies are doing. And then on the government side, that's actually quite important as well. Investing in the students, in your generation, in the next generation of your workforce. In fact, Singapore is heavily investing in the next generation of workforce as well as the current workforce. So we see a lot of incentives, trainings, and a lot of budget has been allocated for the training and reskilling of the workforce, people in their 40s, in their 50s, so that they can also catch up to this technology, which is called AI. Understand what is AI, what it can do, what are some of the applications and tools out there that they can go after and learn and apply. And then, of course, there are many, many courses in universities that are offered. They're offering data science, machine learning. I think what's very heartening is that a lot of people are now understanding what data science and AI is, and they're interested in it, and therefore the demand in these courses are really, really sky high right now. So compared to when I first did this, nobody knew what data science was. Everyone I spoke to, when I say that I'm a data scientist, they will be really puzzled. They was like, wow, what's that? What's that? And then when I tell them, they don't really get what data scientists do because they've not seen it. They've not seen the product, because data scientists are always at the back, right? With all the models and implementations. But once ChatGPT came out, that changed the world, because for the first time, people could see what it could do, what this technology could do, and they can see the outcome and the application in their lives, and how it can enhance their productivity, how it can help them do many, many things and think of the unthinkable.
AI is doing tremendous work for human beings, and what we're wondering now is what steps can be taken to bridge the gap in AI talents within business during this period of time.
So the talent shortage is real. We don't have enough skill sets, we don't have enough people, but there is also this fact, which is we don't know what jobs are required in the future. They will be created, there'll be new jobs, there'll be new skill sets that are required, but right now, we probably can't see the entire picture. We see snippets and glimpses of it. So what's the best way to do that, right? I think we talked about how some of the organizations are scaling their employees internally, giving them trainings, giving them opportunities to take up courses, and then governments are also stepping up to help the current workforce skill up themselves. And I think what individuals can do is really to take that step towards learning something new, towards picking up that skill. Now, how do we do that? Of course, through these courses and hard skills, right? But there are also the softer aspects of it, which is learn from other people, network with the people around you who are in that field or interested in going into that field. Because when you are surrounded by like-minded people, it's much easier for you to progress and move on to the next level and the next level after that. And of course, if you have the opportunity to attend conferences or seminars or webinars or listen to panels and experts talking about this and telling and sharing their experiences, how they've gone through it in their lives as they move up into this world. So people like me, who's been in this business for quite a while, in the AI field for quite a while, how did we get here? I think that's one of the most frequently asked questions, right? Which is, how did you get there? Because back then, when I was studying, there was no course on data science. There was no course on machine learning. So how did I get here? So learn from these people who got here, who didn't have any education on data science or any formal certification on data science when they first started work. So surrounding yourself with like-minded people, surrounding yourself with the atmosphere, listening to podcasts, reading, I think that will really help bringing that shortage of skills to close that gap. So it's every individual. It's not just organizations or government, but all of us.
It's very good for the audience who is watching the video that you're sharing the ideas of AI development and the data science, all about it. And I would like to take you as the example because Mei is the lead of Dell Technology for artificial intelligence and machine learning initiatives for global pre-sales. Okay, yes. You do have the vision of it, and actually you're doing a quite job. So people are trying to take you as a female character. How do you play this role in tech? Especially so many men are in this field, and how do you deal with that, and how do you communicate with them?
Actually, that's not difficult. It's not a men against women kind of world. It's just that you're outnumbered all the time. But you just have to remember that we're dealing with human beings, men or women. We're all human beings. And remember the value that we're bringing to the table. So sometimes as women, our voices are not as strong or as powerful. When you're at the table with a group of men, you may have to force yourself to speak up and lean forward a little more so that people can see you. So that's just those small tactics, right? But at the end of the day, I think there is no active discrimination against men or against women in particular in this field of AI. But what's concerning is that there are actually very, very few women in AI, in machine learning, and I think everybody kind of knows everybody. If you're a woman, you're like, oh yeah, I know her, and everybody knows you. As a very small circle of people, but I think it's getting bigger and bigger. That circle, at least that pool of female talent is getting bigger. I believe it's because they are starting to see these women role models, and they're starting to see that, hey, if she can do it, I think I can do it too. If there is a female NASA scientist, I can be a NASA scientist. If there's a female data scientist, I can be there too. And maybe the encouraging fact is that, I'll be one of the minorities and it'll be quite fun because I'll be outstanding. So there is a great chance to be very outstanding if you're kind of in the minority. And right now, that chance is here.
Do you find it fun yourself?
Yes, I find it very, very, very fun, particularly when people are telling you to your face that, oh, you're one of the few female women in tech, like real tech, not just working in a tech company, but in real tech, doing tech. So it's very, very encouraging, and I enjoy being that role model for the younger generation to show them that, hey, it is possible, it can be done. It's not, some far-reaching moon out there. There are role models that exist. That means it's possible.
Mei is the model that we can follow. Yeah, for the female characters.
And many other women out there as well that are very, very inspiring. Maybe we don't see them here today, but they are out there.
Okay, so Mei, would you like to tell us more about your project in Singapore? It's called Mentor Connect, because you're the mentor for many people actually in the real tech.
Yes. Mentor Connect is actually a flagship program in Singapore, in Dell, Singapore. We work very closely with 15 other partner companies. And what we do is we select a group of female young leaders or leaders to be mentored by these different companies. So let's say we have 15 people from Dell. We will send one to each of these companies. And then in return, they send their mentees to each of these companies. So let's say, come back to Dell, right? We will have 15 mentees from these different companies, and they will be mentored by senior leaders in the company. They will learn what it is like to be a leader in different industries, right? So people who come to Dell will learn how leaderships are like, how do they solve problems? What are some of the ways to tackle obstacles along the way? How do you have conversations at a leadership level? And then the mentees that are sent to the government sector organization or to a finance organization, they will learn some tips and tricks from those industries, and then they will come back and learn from each other as well, and then how they can integrate that back to their organization and how they can upskill themselves as a leader currently or in the future. So when we talk about networking, being able to surround yourself with like-minded people, this is one of the examples that we give this opportunity to like-minded women in leadership positions or in junior leadership positions, right? To surround themselves with other young women leaders and learn from each other, as well as learn from the senior leaders in that organization that's different from your organization. And I think that's a really good opportunity to learn the softer aspects, so not just the theory, right? But the softer aspects of dealing with people, of overcoming problems and obstacles, and of having difficult conversations as well.
From Mentor Connect, we do learn a lot from each other, especially for the community, society, and also the people all together. And for many people work in tech, they will wonder, because the AI, the danger of AI. Perhaps many people emphasize it. But actually, there's a question goes to, like, do you think AI itself could replace the role of AI workers being trained to create it? Is it possible?
I think not likely. So you see, think about the farmers. Before the Industrial Revolution, we had farmers doing manual work, right? And then after the Industrial Revolutions, machines came about. So do farmers still exist today?
Yes.
Yes. They have not been replaced by technology. But farmers of today are very different from farmers of 200 years ago. Their ability to make use of technology, to increase their yield, to protect their crops from pests, they're very, very different. And that is how the AI workers will be like in the future. So if we look to the future 200 years later, and then from there, look at ourselves today, we will be thinking, oh, those are so manual, those are so different. I can't believe they did that. But we will still exist. There will still be AI workers in the future, 200 years later, but they will evolve. Their skill sets will change. Their ability to harness the power of technology will be different. They will be using that as a tool, just as farmers of today are using technologies and machines as a tool to help them and to increase productivity.
Okay, so last but not least, can you provide a brief summary of outline to those companies? What are the key steps for implement or deploy generative AI?
Okay, first, understand what AI is, what it can do for you. Secondly, what problems do you have that AI can solve? and then look at whether you have the necessary things for your AI, which is the data and the platform and the skill sets and people to run that. And then you have to evaluate what value it's going to bring to you. So once you have a very clear picture of what value this will bring, then you put your investments in all these areas and implement AI.
Okay.
But not big scale. Start small, start with a pilot perhaps, and then you can see how it's like. After that, go big.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mei. We will learn a lot from you. Also, for more information, you can consult the technical experts at Dell Technologies. And thank you very much, Mei.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for watching. This is Victoria. See you next time.